to my channel. If you are new here, or if maybe you've just not seen a video from me in a while, my name is Corie, and it's been a minute. I have to admit that my creative juices, for lack of a better word, have not been flowing, and I felt that I had a lot of momentum in my last series, which was when I embarked upon plastic-free May for the entire month of May. And since then, I think life has just gotten busy. It's summer now. There are more things happening. I'm spending less time at home. And honestly, I just haven't been really inspired to document anything in particular. I've had a little bit of a block when it comes to content. And I noticed that recently there have been some rumblings, and I thought that I would start by just maybe offering an update video. And I am going to sort through my soft plastic as we chat today. And it's not going to be anything revolutionary, but I just thought it may be a good opportunity to reconnect with this platform, with all of you, with this community that I'm so grateful to have. And it will also serve as a good opportunity for myself to just reflect on where I'm at. Honestly, I've been feeling, and I think this is not a new feeling. This is a feeling I encounter a lot this time of year. In the warmer months, I am hit with waves of inspiration, whether that's creative or like I want to be more active. There's just something that happens when the days are longer, the weather's warmer. Last summer, to give you an example, I was really gung-ho on van life, thinking about living in a van, and I went all in. I went pretty far into planning mode, where I was researching vans. I was trying to look at my life in terms of like, can I live in a van? Thinking about the jobs I could have whilst living in a van. And there's also been times where I get really into gardening, or I get really into like making things from scratch. So there's just all kinds of things going on. And right now, it's kind of a weird place because I'm feeling the inspiration, but I'm lacking a specific goal or purpose, or there's not something that I'm really channeling my energy into. And so I've felt like this limbo. I feel like I'm in limbo, and there's more to it than that. For those of you who may be new here or didn't know, I am married to an American, Brian, and he and I have started my immigration process in applying for a visa to move to Washington State. I'm on Vancouver Island in British Columbia. And right now our application says 2 months, meaning we'll know more information in 2 months. And so that has almost got me like frozen. Like I don't really know where to put my energy. I don't know what projects to start. I'm at a bit of a weird place in my career, in my job, where I'm feeling like maybe change is on the horizon, but that right now just isn't the right time. But I do also feel a pull towards dabbling in some things. So today, for example, I reconnected with my LinkedIn, which I've had an on again, off again relationship with LinkedIn. I've never been overly consistent with keeping it up to date or using it as a networking tool. But today I was like, you know what, I am going to just make everything up to date. I'm gonna have all my formatting succinct, and I put it out there that I'm looking for some side work, and I'm kind of wanting to pursue something new, and that would be something in the realm of writing or copywriting or content creation. I've never done it formally. I've always just done it for myself. And today when I was updating my page, I was like, I don't even have, like, I used to run an online thrift shop. I don't even have that on there. I didn't have my 13-year career as a server. And although I've like now gone to university, I have a degree, I'm working in my field, that 13 years experience at the restaurant gave me a lot of skills that I even use now in my current job, working with children, youth, and families and vulnerable populations. So anyways, all that to say, I today took a step in like, okay, I have this energy, I feel a bit of a pull and a bit of a discomfort, and I'm okay, I'm safe, everything is fine. And so this is a discomfort that is actually really helpful because it's motivating me to think about change. And I trust myself, and I trust that I know what my capacity is. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at in this present day. Today was a little bit of a emotionally turbulent day where I was just like, I was struggling with the limbo. I have had to reconcile with finding acceptance in the limbo, and today I was telling a couple different people how I typically, if I encounter discomfort or I have sort of made up my mind about something, I am so quick to invoke change. I'm so quick to take action and change the circumstances, whether that's like I start applying for new jobs, or I take on a new hobby, or I drop a responsibility that I'm feeling overwhelmed by. But right now, like, I am not really in a position where I can do that, and I have to just ride this out, and I think that's good for me. I think that is a challenge that is going to yield some healthy outcomes. And so I thought I would just share with you some things that I have been doing. Plastic-free May was really informative. As you can see, I have not maintained a plastic-free life. Now, this plastic dates back several months. I am still trying to live a life with less waste, less single-use products. A part of my challenge was my dietary needs, and so I mentioned this in previous videos, but I've recently gone gluten-free, and I've been eating mostly plant-based, but I have recently taken a really hard approach to figuring out what some of my digestive issues are, and I have started to get pretty real with some supplements. So in my daily practice, I've added athletic greens and kefir, which are both, athletic greens has a number of benefits, but they both have probiotics. And I'm looking at like restoring my gut health. And I've also started to eliminate certain trigger foods. So I'm trying to identify like what foods are just really not making my body happy. And so while I'm on this like path of figuring it all out, I I couldn't manage it all. I couldn't be like embarking on like gluten-free and zero waste, and then like just really trying to find foods that like make my gut feel okay. And I just found that like I had to give myself some grace. And we also like live in such a society that capitalism and consumerism are not looking out for our planet. And so as one individual, I can be working my tail off to try to make sustainable changes. And I don't want to say that they don't have an impact, but the onus should not be on me, the individual. It should be on our lawmakers, our decision makers. And yeah, there just needs to be like big systemic changes. So right now, my main focus in all of what I've just said is trying to figure out what is not happy in my body. And I was on antibiotics for a number of years, back to back prescriptions sometimes due to chronic UTIs. And I'm really happy to say that my UTIs are like gone, knock on wood. They are like literally gone. But my guts are still not where I'd like them to be. And my naturopath once described it as like when you wreak havoc on your guts like that, like when you basically kill off all the good bacteria, you could put any type of food in, like it may not even be like one you would generally be sensitive to, but in that state, it's like everything feels like your guts are like just a fire pit is what she called it. And that just like really feels true for me. And I'm trying to just be really dialing into how my body feels and what is going on in this body of mine. So food and supplements and finding balance in that way have been a huge, they've been taking up a lot of energy in my life, but it also feels like really productive and I'm happy to be doing it. As you may know, I ran my very first half marathon in May, and since then I have been still running. So my girlfriend Fiona and we run twice a week together, and we've maintained that, which has been so good for both of us. I know that we both get so much out of that, like not just the physical activity, but the time together. And we've just switched to one of our runs, we've switched to a 6 a.m. instead of in the evenings. And we're just playing around with seeing like how that feels. And for me, like I'm finding that, yes, it's difficult to sometimes wake up at 6 a.m. or like not even wake up, but just like get my ass out of bed. But I feel overall like I have way more energy and that my body's in just like such a better place at that time than at the end of the day, especially as we've had such hot weather. It's been like almost impossible to run in the heat. And yeah, so I mentioned my job, I work as a mental health outreach worker, and I work with youth between the ages of 10 and 18. And one thing that I've been getting really clear on is that I have been experiencing prolonged burnout. Before this job, I started this job in September. Before this job, I was a high school counselor, and I loved that job. But my capacity was just, I was not able to maintain the ask of that job. There were so many students that needed a lot of support, and unfortunately just the way the way the job was structured, there just was not enough support for the need, and it resulted in huge caseloads and just feeling like I was just barely scratching the surface of some of these kids and the complexities of their situation. And so I switched jobs, and I also switched jobs for it was a wage increase as well. That was a factor, but the real appeal to this job was a much smaller caseload, and the subject matter and some of the clients and what they're dealing with is pretty significant, and these are not easy cases by any sense, but I do have more time with them, and I have more flexibility in how I structure my days, and I can do all my admin work from home, and it does really facilitate a better life, like a work-life balance. But I'm still finding that I am struggling with burnout, struggling with motivation, struggling with like just even knowing how to feel helpful and feel fulfilled. Like I don't know that I feel fulfilled, and I'm just grappling with that a little bit. And so one thing that I've been looking into is going back to school, and I was thinking of switching gears completely. I've been really drawn to sustainability and our climate crisis, and just working in nature and working to preserve our natural environment, working with our Indigenous communities who are so knowledgeable about these surrounding areas and how to be in relationship with our planet. And so I did spend, I think this was back in, it must have been last month, I was researching a lot of different schools and different programs, and just trying to really get a better understanding of what my options were. And I'm still wanting to pursue that path, but I was slightly discouraged by the fact that I don't know where I'm going to be living, and that really does suck because, like I said before, I like making plans, I like taking action, I like moving forward with ideas, I like finding my purpose. And so that is another thing that I kind of hit a wall. I kind of got, I guess discouraged would be the right word, because I just don't know enough right now, and I got a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of research that I might have to do. And it's not even just about like what schools or what programs, it's also about like living in Canada versus living in the United States, whether I'm looking at Canadian schools or am I looking at American schools. Also, like if I just don't know enough about if I'm a Canadian applying to an American school, will I be considered an international student? Or if I start at a Canadian school and then I move to the United States, would I then be considered an international student? So these are all just things I've truly been avoiding because I've kind of been feeling overwhelmed when I'm dealing with customer service these days. I'm finding that, and I'm not alone, I know, and I'm not even complaining, I'm just noticing that I'm anticipating there not being so many places are short on employees and staff, and I'm just like do I have the capacity, do I have the mental energy to like be on hold or like be waiting for emails to be replied to, or basically I'm just afraid of putting in energy and it feeling hard. So again, I'm okay. These are challenges I can certainly overcome. I just haven't exactly mustered the motivation in that regard. But when I do think about it, when I do think about going back to school and I think about working in like more of an environmental science or environmental studies area, that's really exciting. And I've been finding that when I'm out in nature, I just want to be learning, I want to be observing, I want to be appreciating, I want to be honoring, and I just want to be like taking good care of our lands. And I'm feeling really inspired by that. And yeah, I thought I would just explore that further. And so that is just sort of still on the docket, still as a to-do. I've been really happy with how much I've been reading and finding joy in reading and accessing my local library. I am right now reading, it's called The Levers by Lisa Ko, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It is about a boy who was born to Chinese immigrant parents, and but he was born and raised in New York, in the Bronx. And so there's a big theme of like kind of that mixed identity. Also, the main storyline is that his mom goes missing and he is put into foster care and then adopted, and just sort of the turmoil of not knowing where his mom is and navigating just that like that increased complexity to his identity, because now he's, you know, in the system and he's estranged from his culture and his mom and his family. And anyways, The Levers, it's really easy read so far, really easy to get into. And yeah, I've been just doing a lot of reading. I have been going on like lots of walks, and we have these little local community book boxes that are like free books, like you can leave a book, take a book. That's been a huge source of joy for me. I also recently got back into taking photos with my my film camera, and I just got a roll of film developed, and it didn't turn out perfectly. A lot of them were overexposed, but I sometimes actually really like the way that looks. And it was like olive flowers, olive plants. So that's been just fun. And yeah, I've just been like listening to lots of podcasts and just wanting to immerse myself in new information and new sources of inspiration. And it's been feeling really fulfilling. I have to admit that I've been like taking really good care of myself. And I think that has been my primary focus, is just nurturing myself, my well-being from the inside out, getting exercise, going on hikes, going for walks, eating well, trying to get to the root cause of some of my discomfort. My sister got married, and so it was a huge family affair. Brian joined us. We all went to Valemount, BC, which is kind of like northeast of British Columbia, and had a great time. It was a full family affair, and it was really just great to spend time celebrating and honoring my sister and her husband, Chikara. I've been gardening. I've been growing some tomatoes and some herbs. I have these 2 beautiful sunflowers that have grown, and I didn't plant them. They were gifts from my bird friends or my squirrel friends. I'm not really sure, but they're just like growing right outside of my kitchen window, and that's been really fun to watch. I just like get so much joy from just staring out the window, which I think is, it speaks to my age. And I will be 37 next month. My birthday is in August, and as far as I know, Brian and I are planning a hiking camping trip, so that is something I'm really looking forward to. And I guess, yeah, like The only other update I will maybe say is just with Brian and I, like we have been navigating this long distance, and I am just so proud of us and the life we're creating, even though we're living in 2 different countries. And we are just so excited to live together and to come together. And lately we've been talking a lot about joining forces from like an entrepreneurial standpoint and going into business together. And so the ideas have been flowing around like what it is that we want to do, and what are we good at, and what are our niche areas, what brings us joy, what are realistic ventures for where we'll be living, where will we be living. I mean, ultimately, the first step would be to move to Port Townsend. But we've been floating just all kinds of ideas around because the world is our oyster, and I have to keep remembering that. And okay, one last thing. I'll just make a note on my finances. So my finances were like a really big part of my social media presence for a while. I ran an Instagram called Budget, and it was all about me getting out of debt. And I am still getting out of debt. And I've stayed really committed to that. And a big part of me wanting to get out of debt is because I'm moving, and I want to move with like as much of a clean slate as I can and not bring that with me, especially because I won't be able to work for the first little bit. And so I have been putting $800 a month towards my debt, and it is riding right around the $7,000 mark, which is down from like $22,000. And so I'm really proud with my progress. I'm wishing it would just go down faster, obviously, but my interest is going down and down and down, and I know I can do it. So I have been living pretty simplistically. Like I have not been living large by any means, and that's a good thing. It's been a really good process for me to just live within my means, learn to say no to things. Really, I've like really decreased my footprint. Like I am not subscribing to much of a capitalist agenda. Like there are some really big changes that I've made over the course of the last year, and it's feeling really good. And I've invested into an RRSP, which is our registered retirement savings plan, and a TFSA, a tax-free savings account. And so I've just been like I've never been someone to really keep and maintain a savings, and I have a savings, and I'm thrilled that I just got over that hurdle. And now that I have it, I'm like addicted to having it. Like I just am so, just so thrilled that I have a savings. So it's just gonna sit and grow, and I'm never gonna touch it. And it is just gonna be there for me when I retire. That's the plan anyways. So those are the updates, all over the place, but that is life. And things are going well. Things may be going in a few different directions and at like strange paces, but like ultimately I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm well connected, I'm well resourced, and the best is yet to come. So thank you for tuning in and trusting that I would come back. I don't want to wait so long in between videos, but I'm just being real. Like life is a wild ride, and I know that you can all relate to that on some level. So if you're new here, thanks for joining. If you are a returning subscriber and friend, thank you for continuing to support me. And if you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Bye.